Dạ chứ mình ba đi à.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is... what's today again?
It's October 3rd.
Thanks, Lindsay. Today is Thursday, October 3rd. So having a look, diving in, what do we have? Well, Bitcoin is up. Actually, look, it says reload. What's it up right now? Oh, now we're down 0.1%. All right, so essentially we're still really not moving. It's quite boring. So if we have a look over here, basically what's going on is Bitcoin is really sort of struggling. You can see right here on this sort of resistance that we had back here, which has actually turned to support. Now, we did wick up to about $8,421 yesterday, but we could not break above the 200 daily moving average. In fact, there are a lot of things on the charts right now that are not looking good. Some of them we haven't even talked about. I do want to go into that today. Obviously, I don't want to be like Mr. Bear, right? But I do want to talk about it because we might even be looking for another death cross. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. But it's not all doom and gloom. I actually have some pretty cool news today, very bullish, and I'm going to show you right now that despite all of this price activity, all of the fact that we have the red going on in the markets, there is actually a ton of over-the-counter demand right now being bought up by the institutions. Yes, they are buying right now at these prices. I'm going to show you, and also massive demand in other regions. We actually have a new website that came out that allows us to look at the data from local Bitcoins, and I think you'd be quite surprised to see how many people are actually buying Bitcoin right now, even though the price has been falling, not to mention the fact that a very famous YouTuber with over 9 million subscribers has recently become extremely bullish and vocal on Bitcoin, so that will definitely get some eyes on it. And if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you are brand new to the channel and you're not subscribed yet, well, what are you waiting for? We do this every single day, and of course, we are definitely going to be talking about the short-term price action because I do think that within, I would say, the next few days, possibly even the end of this weekend or very early next week, we're going to see some pretty big moves for Bitcoin, and we're going to have to dive in and see exactly, what Bitcoin is most likely going to do. So having a look, we do notice that Bitcoin dominance has relatively stayed about the same. Nothing has really changed over the past few days. In fact, the volume is the lowest we've seen it in a very long time. So this is showing me that there's not much interest. People are quite bored right now. In fact, I've even seen some of the views on my videos kind of go down over the past few days. So obviously people are just genuinely not interested right now. But we do know that that tends to be some of the greatest times to buy. You could see, look, over the past day in Coin Farm, neutral. Neutral, 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 nothing. And if we go down here, look, essentially you can see that the shorts are ahead, but not by much. What? By about like 1%. So very mixed markets right now. Although, like I said, the shorts are sort of in the lead today. You are noticing we are still maintaining above the blue box territory, but we cannot get above this 200 daily moving average. Now, I actually was having a look at this downwards sort of channel that we're trapped in, and it looks like we're starting to tighten up a bit. You can see we were sort of in the purple area, but now we have this sort of tightening range inside of the green dotted level. So it does show me that Bitcoin might be doing a little bit of consolidation, but here's the thing, very short term, I wanted to point out. Now, if I remove this, let me just show you basically what I did here. So this is the 200 daily moving average. I basically just extended it out, okay? I drew the line myself. I don't really know where it's going, but I mean, we could pretty much see it's not like it's going to have a crazy, move. Even with this dump right here, the line still maintained relatively level. So drawing and extending on this, you do notice that pretty much around October 8th, we are going to have the 200 daily moving average basically meet up with this upwards trend that Bitcoin has essentially been putting in, right? So we're going to be having some incredible resistance right there. Not to mention, even if we do break above it, we still have this downwards resistance from the triangle, right? So looking at the fact that we have this trend, this green line down here, we have this blue line up here, we have basically October 5th looking for almost a squeeze where Bitcoin is going to look to either break up or down. And if we break to the upside, well, we do have the 200 daily moving average still probably sitting around that $8,500 level. So I do think that, as bored as you are right now, the next few days are going to get very, very crazy for Bitcoin, especially as we get towards the end of the weekend. Now, sadly, we do notice right here, we have actually had hash rate pull back just a little bit, not by much, but we are seeing a little bit of hash rate drop off. So I have seen some concerns over that as well. And just looking at the 7-day EMA, you'll notice that it is currently providing a little bit of downwards pressure right now. And it looks like we're going to have to try to break above that first in order to basically put in some short-term bullish momentum. But here's the situation right here, okay? Now, we have the 21 exponential on the daily, and I also want to point out the 200, which we've been talking about on the channel for pretty much a week now. You're noticing that it's looking like they want to cross, okay? Now, keep in mind, you'll notice that when they crossed back here during the bear market, well, we pretty much went into a solid bear trend for many, many months. And then right here, you'll notice when they finally crossed, again, they flipped the other way on April 9th. Well, we essentially just went on a massive, massive bull run, right? We're a little mini bull run, right? Little run. But over here, it looks like they're looking to cross again. Now, I do want to go back here and just point out a time which they had previously crossed where we had the bull and then the bear, but you notice they crossed again and they went back up. So I'm not saying that this is going to be a long-term cross. I mean, it could be very temporary. This one over here only lasted, let's see, about, this first one was 51 days, and then all the way to the end, it was 100 days. So essentially 50 days each. So could we be putting in a 50-day sideways trend? It is possible. We are going to keep our eyes on this. Now, it's very possible that these could get very close and not touch, okay? So I will keep my eyes on that, but I do want to point out something and, shout out to Cane Island Advisors for putting this together. This is basically Bitcoin's gains and losses every single month, pretty much since Bitcoin came out, or at least dating back to August of 2010, okay? So that's a pretty good chart as far as history is concerned. Now, the thing I want to point out is that you do notice that when August and September have both put in red months or negative months, October usually tends to follow, right? You notice back here in 2011, August was down almost 40%, September 37%, and then October another 36%. In 2014, we had a 15%, bad month for August, negative 19 for September, and negative 11 for October. And obviously last year's bear market, well, we had 14 for August, 5 for September, and 4 for October. Now, you do notice that out of all of the months, October does tend to get hit the least hard. So I'm not looking for a terrible bearish October. In fact, we still do have the anonymous $16,000 prediction that we're keeping our eyes on. But, if history was to repeat itself, you would be looking for a potential negative month, right? But I do want to also point one other thing out. If we look at the average of October over the course of Bitcoin's history, October actually tends to put in a 21% gain overall, whereas August and September overall have put in 4 to 6% losses on average every single time. So basically what I'm trying to say is October is the least hit month as far as negative, gains would be concerned. But having a look right here, we did close out last month on a red candle, and we are currently down this month. So that would be putting in our 4th red candle. Now, it's just the beginning of the month. I'm not going to say that we're going to close red, but also just pointing out the 21 exponential on the monthly, you'll notice is sitting at $6,937. So for people that are asking if we, do get this death cross and we do not break above the 200 moving average and Bitcoin does go lower, well, you may be looking for some of that support around that $6,900, $7,000 level, right? Now, if we look at what Carpe Noctem is talking about, he says that he's a little bit more bullish on the shorter time frames, saying that we put in a little bit of a head and shoulders, although it might be somewhat of a Quasimodo-esque looking thing, right? But I do want to just point out one thing really quick before we move on to the fundamentals, and what I want to show you that these guys are accumulating is that if we look at the Dow Jones is down over the past week. You can see right here, okay? We also have the S&P 500 down over the past week. However, Bitcoin is actually up slightly over the past week. So is Bitcoin still acting as that non-correlated asymmetric asset that we all love about it? Well, that is possible. But one thing I want to show you guys is the demand right here. Now, Basically, this is called usefultulips.org, and they take all of the data from localbitcoins.com and smash it together. And what I like about it is they do it in US dollars, because the other one is always done in basically the country's currency, and it's really complicated to try to convert. But you can see right here, look at this. Over the last 6 months, you've seen an increase in demand in Eastern Europe, Latin America, Asia Pacific. Okay, not so much over here in the US and Australia, but you can see right here, this is very, very hot red demand. And in fact, if I actually switch it to the past year, although you'll see a lot more blue because, obviously the all-time high we were very excited about. But look at this. In places like South America as well, Venezuela, things of that nature, you are seeing massive demand. And you can see right here where we had that 2017 spike. Well, we have been growing, even though price had the massive bear market. The overall demand for Bitcoin is growing, and very specifically in Eastern Europe, Latin America, and Asian Pacific as well. And I also want to point out, you can see right here, they say the recent decline of the value of Bitcoin has not deterred institutional investors and hedge funds from buying Bitcoin, according to directors of London-based OTC firm BCB Group. Now, this is coming directly from the source. These guys are the ones that are selling the Bitcoin over the counter. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you're new to the channel or you're not familiar with what over the counter is, but essentially this is flat rate price. So when these big whales, these institutions are buying millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, guess what? They don't move the price because they're buying it for a flat rate. So they're not having the slippage of buying on exchanges. So there's tons of buying happening in the background. None of it is showing up on any of, basically CoinMarketCap or anything like that, right? You can see right here, they say levels of investment have remained significant, with tens of millions of pounds being traded on a weekly basis via the BCB Group. They say in terms of actually getting major deals over the line, BCB Group facilitates between $10 million and $100 million per week, with hundreds of millions in payments being processed in and out of their clients' accounts. So essentially they say, we have seen a rise in investments from institutions, but more importantly, we've seen less of the hype from the retail sector. We're starting to see fundamental change in the space. They say we're less interested in the price. We look at other metrics that signal strength, such as Google Scholar citations about Bitcoin, GitHub commits, VCs who are investing in the space, and jobs being taken for blockchain and crypto developers. There are really more important indicators that show you the strength of the industry. They say 2 years ago, you could basically just arbitrage on spot exchanges and make a lot of money, but that's all you could really do. Now you have things like Deribit, LedgerX, BAC, CME. You could trade futures, you could trade options, and there's a lot more interesting arbitrage opportunities. They say this is only just the beginning. All of these financial products that hedge funds are using in traditional markets are coming to crypto as we speak. So the infrastructure is being built. And you'll notice that they mention things like Deribit, LedgerX. You have things like BitMEX, for example, or ByBit, which, you didn't have these opportunities, right? You had to basically gamble on the altcoins and hold them and look for arbitrage opportunities. But now you can actually long Bitcoin, and you could short it as well, right? So there's just a lot of different opportunities right now, and the market is essentially growing, right? So by the way, guys, if you have not checked out my ByBit tutorial, if you don't know how to basically long or short, I will drop that above, and I do have a link below. If you use my link, it does help the channel out, but obviously I don't require that, guys. But getting off topic a bit, I do want to talk about Michelle Phan. Now, you may not be familiar with who she is. She is a very popular YouTuber. Some people actually say she even kind of started the whole influencer thing. I don't really know much about that, but yeah, 9 million subscribers, and she has been very pro Bitcoin lately. You can see she's been on podcasts like About Bitcoin. She co-hosted that thing with Andrew Yang, remember we talked about the other day? And she believes that every entrepreneur should have Bitcoin. I actually like this. I don't want to comment. I want to retweet it. Yeah, there we go. So I'll retweet that on my Twitter. But essentially, you can see right here some of the excerpts from what she was saying. Highlighting the part where she talks about Bitcoin in the interview. She says that she's found consistent stimulation in the world of Bitcoin. She says, I'm actually more excited about Bitcoin than I was about first discovering YouTube. She became a Bitcoin evangelist and has been buying Bitcoin. She has appeared on certain podcasts. She says that Bitcoin, unfortunately, isn't easy right now, for exchanges and buying stuff. But over time, she does think that it will become easier. She says, remember when there were only internet cafes, right? Where you had to go to specific places if you wanted to use the internet. Well, now we have the internet on our phones, right? So that became obsolete. Yeah, so really, really cool. She says she's a lover of decentralization in the same way that Bitcoin isn't owned by anyone. She feels the same way about YouTube, where anyone can start their channel, but YouTube is a little more centralized, Michelle. Trust me, I've had certain videos demonetized because of certain things I talked about, which apparently I wasn't supposed to. But that being said, we do have this tweet from Binance Lite. At what price would you sell the majority of your Bitcoin? I'm just curious. You know, do you own a Bitcoin? Do you own multiple Bitcoin? And at what price would you sell? Would you ever sell your Bitcoin? I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about like day-to-day selling just to get by. I mean, selling like a massive proportion, like let's say like 50%. Okay, what would you sell it at? I mean, me personally, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel like I would always hold a little bit of Bitcoin, but just for fun, let's say $1 million. So no, $1 million is 31%, never 23%. So let me know, where would you, what is the price in which you would say, okay, I'm cashing out, that's enough? Or would you just hold forever? I am curious. I think I would always inevitably hold a little bit. I would never sell all my Bitcoin ever. I would always hold, a small percentage of it pretty much forever, just because I do believe in it. So that's basically me, but I'm curious what you guys would say. But here's some interesting news. So the Morningstar ratings agency, one of the most dominant firms in the debt securities business, is looking to take up the crypto sector. You can see right here, Bruce Fenton posted, they have 4,500 employees. It's used by 7 million individuals, 245,000 financial advisors, and 4,200 institutional investors. So they have experience in rating some of the most prominent mutual funds, such as Prudential, Morgan Stanley, and TD Ameritrade. Now they are looking into cryptocurrencies. However, just going to be honest with you guys, I always take these, like Weiss ratings and things like that with a grain of salt, especially when they're like hardcore traditional. I do tend to trust people that have been in the crypto space a little bit more because crypto is a little bit wild, a little bit crazy. For example, SIMETRI from Crypto Briefing. This is a particular newsletter that I'm a fan of. If you're interested in the altcoins are not really performing quite well right now, but you can see right here, they do have a bit of the, competitive advantage that they do have a network of industry insiders, institutional trading desks who give them general insight, etc. And don't forget, they have professional code readers like Andre Cronje, who I've had on the channel before, who I do respect his opinion very much. So if you guys haven't checked out SIMETRI, I do have a link below for it. I'll drop it in the pinned comment if you guys are interested. You can check that out for sure. But talking about some altcoins and getting on out of here, you have the Ethereum Ropsten testnet encountered a chain split. So obviously not everybody upgraded. Is this a problem? Well, I mean, it short term sort of is, but it's not. I mean, once these guys basically get updated to the proper software, it should be fine. But these things can be a little bit rough. I wouldn't freak out, but the Ethereum network might have a couple hiccups over the next day or two. It's possible, but hopefully nothing too major. Also, I saw this from Syndicator, the ultimate guide to survival in crypto market, avoiding manipulation, fake news, and scammers, which is something I'm always talking about on my channel. There's so many people constantly trying to impersonate me on Telegram, down below in the comments. So just always be careful who you're talking to. But I thought this was a really great way for new people to sort of spot scams and what to stay away from. So just as a helpful article, I will drop that below. And you do know that I do like to end the daily video on at least one bit of good news, and this comes from IKEA in Iceland, and it looks like they've taken part in a commercial transaction using Ethereum. So basically, it was carried out on the platform provided by supply chain management firm TradeShift, and they used programmable digital cash from consensus-backed Monerium. So there you go, guys. IKEA, Ethereum, things are looking good. How's Bitcoin looking? Boring as hell. Oh, now we're actually starting to push down, guys. So if we break down below this support right here, where's my chart? Yeah, like I said, if we do break down below this support, the next level is kind of around that $8,000. You can see where we sort of started wicking back up here, but the real support after that is definitely down by that $7,600 level. So keep your eyes on it, guys. There is a lot of resistance, a lot of pressure right now, but I do want to just friendly remind you that we do have a lot of OTC buying right now. There is a lot of institutional interest in the background, so why would these guys be hoarding up on Bitcoin over the counter at these prices right now if they didn't think the price was going to go up? Just saying. Just saying, got to point that out. But that being said, guys, that is it for me today. You guys know I could put this video out. By the time you see it, the price could be $500 lower, or we could be to the moon. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, but that's what we're looking at today. If you stuck it out to the end, you are a trooper. A lot of people I've noticed, you can even see, look at the views right here. I mean, over here I was getting, in the high 30s, then 28, 26, 27, 20 yesterday. So obviously the interest is falling off a bit, but you guys rock. And to everybody out there who's dollar cost averaging, seriously, I think you already know. So that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Once again, don't forget, we do give away the Ledger Nano S every Monday. All you gotta do is drop a comment on literally any video. And that is it for me today, guys. So thank you once again for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I keep doing this every single day, even on this very